Hey, everybody. We are actually in starting our year 2 of Grey Roots. This has been such a journey, and thank you for those of you that have been with us since the beginning, started in the middle, or have just joined us. We appreciate you, and we're so glad you are here. So, girls, can you believe we are a year into this?
That's
Wow, that's
crazy.
pretty incredible. And we're
Yeah.
still here, all 3 of us.
We're still here, and life has been crazy.
So
So, for
crazy.
those of you who don't know, we've been friends for a really long time. I don't know, 20 plus years. And through life, middle school, high school kids, whatever, we just didn't see each other or talk for a long time. And then, life
Almost
got
30 years, just to make you feel
almost
a little
30.
older. We're moving closer to that. But anyway, who's counting? 25 at
Yeah, who's
least, but yeah.
counting?
Okay.
So, as life slowed down just a little bit, we did, just really wanted to connect with each other. So, Kathy has a beautiful lake house. We all got together there for about 3 days and really started talking about where we're at in this stage of life. We are the mother in law and we all have daughter in laws and the tension that is in this space. And we're like, you know what? We've been talking about this for a couple days. Why don't we just start a podcast about it? So we did. And here we do just talk to each other about topics we would talk about anyway. And we knew we found a niche here because as you know, as a listener, there's so much tension in this space. And so we recorded. And then one day we were back at Kathy's and we came across Hey Janelle. She's on Instagram, Hey Janelle Marie. And she is this place where mostly daughter-in-laws, I would say, go to just to feel heard and just to feel supported. And so she had a reel that was kind of like, "Hey, what was it, you guys? Like,
It was I'm a
I'm a
daughter-in-law,
of
of course.
course,
Yeah.
And it was a
I."
trend going around. A lot of
Yeah.
people were doing that trend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was sarcastic, right? Like, I'm a daughter-in-law. Of course, I tell my husband not to call his mom on Mother's Day, And so we're like, how can we spin this in a more positive way? Didn't shower, didn't change, we didn't do anything, and we just recorded
Didn't
this reel.
plan.
Didn't plan anything.
Didn't
That
know
absolutely
really how the trend went.
no,
We
we
really
actually
didn't even get it right.
no,
Our old people is showing up just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
totally. But you know what? At where are we at now? 716,000 views. We hit a nerve with people. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Because, like I said, back in that first meeting, we knew we had a niche here in a place that has high emotion. We found it. You guys found it, and we found this space. And so that really launched us off into this year and get us really excited about what we want to do this year. So, back to that post. If you're here, I'm guessing you've seen it. And so with 716,000 views, girls, what is the theme and why do you feel like this hit such a nerve with people?
Well, I think you said it. I think people felt heard by that video. I think they were like, wait, this doesn't compute because it's not what they were experiencing in their own relationship. So I think you had a couple of real strong reactions. And that was the first. Wait a minute. This exists. There are really women out there who will listen to us, who will honor what we want for our children, who will, have their own lives and not try to relive raising kids through me and my kids. I think all those different things people were saying over and over and over. But there was one clear comment. And Alicia, do you remember what that comment was? We were just talking about it before we hit record.
Yeah. A lot. Where do I exchange my mill for one of these ladies?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
Asking for a
basically
friend.
asking for a friend.
Of course.
How do I swap out? Was
Hey, and listen,
the
we'll
big
be
one.
the first. I want to clear up something, and we say it, but I want to say it again. If you were watching us for the first time, listening, and you came to us thinking that, wow, these women have it all figured out, none of us do. We all have struggles in our relationships. We have a lot of children between us and a lot of in-laws between us, and we screw it up all the time.
Mhm.
So if you want us to be your role models, we're going to let you down. We're going to disappoint you.
Sure.
One key difference, though, with the 3 of us, and maybe this is what you're relating to, we wanna do better. We wanna keep learning. We want to show up and be different than all the comments we're seeing on here. So that's what separates us. Not that we're perfect or we have it all figured out, but we're willing to admit that we're not.
Hmm. I'm so glad you said that, Kath, just to kind of set the groundwork for this is why we're here.
Mhm.
Not here to complain or not here to blame. We're here to kind of go, what is happening in this space and why? And that's what our past episodes have been about. Like, why? is this such a tense place? And you reading those comments, that one that you just mentioned, how many? 100 people liked that one comment.
121 to be exact. I copied
Jeez.
that down and couldn't believe, and that doesn't include the many, many people who repeated that same statement. I mean, it
Said
was
a lot of
repeated
different
over and
ways.
over and right, right, right. Yeah. And so why is that? Why is that pain so deep? Now, we also had on the flip side, we did have some mothers-in-law comment and one to say, "Hey, I do this," which we're grateful for, but I do wonder where the mothers-in-laws are that aren't doing this. Are they hearing this message from these daughters-in-law that is not right? Are they taking offense to it, or are they hearing it and wanting to change? What do you think? Do you think the women, our generation and older, do you think they're getting the message that this isn't okay? Or do you think they're just putting their hand up and going, "It's not me, must be you"? Which way do you think it's going?
Alicia?
I think there are a good amount of Gen X mills our age that are just like, get over it. Why are you so sensitive? Why is this a problem? I also think, as we talk about generational stuff, that
Mhm.
like we had mothers in law that might have said, like, it wasn't back when that was going on for us, when our babies were little, like, I don't know how to say it. I don't know if it was just considered like disrespectful for us to say anything about the prior generation or to them of like, hey, listen, like when you were saying this is the message that I heard. Did you mean to say that? It was just kind of like their mothers just kind of everybody had to just let it roll off their back. Right. And so I think the tail end of that was still with our generation. And so like, if your mother-in-law said something, you're just like, whatever, or you just dealt with it, whatever. And so I think that's how we expect our daughters-in-law to behave, right? Like nobody else made a
Mhm,
big deal about this. What is the problem? I think is a good part, especially if you think about Gen X and,
mhm.
we're the water hose, drank from a water hose and
Yep.
rode our bike without helmets, right? We don't get our feelings hurt. I think, but I mean, that's kind of the label of the Gen X
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
Not saying that any of that is true, just saying that is
Mhm,
kind of the label, and I think a lot of people identify with that are our age, and
mhm.
which is sad because you're really just choosing to not have the relationship with your daughter-in-law, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Mhm. That was one of the themes as we read through the comments was the hurt and the pain that these mother-in-laws are now we're not sure, we don't know their story, who caused what, but the pain and the hurt in these relationships, and this isn't new. This isn't a new thing. And reading those comments was heartbreaking. There's so much pain there. So, Kath, going back to your question, like, are we as mother-in-laws recognizing, or can we? Do we have the ability to go,
Mhm.
what part of that is my responsibility? Because obviously we are
right.
causing some serious damage, you guys. Like there's something we are not doing right, even though if we think we are. What are you gonna say, Kath?
No, I was just going to say when we started this podcast, we really did gear it to the daughters in laws. That's who we first season, especially. We're like, we want them to know there are people hearing them. But another comment we got over and over and over was, hey, y'all do a boot camp? Y'all have some classes. I know somebody who needs to attend. And again, we aren't experts in the sense that we don't have counseling degrees and we're not going to come at you like that. But I think it's something we're talking about, right, girls? That maybe there is something, but I don't think we can go after just the mothers in laws, you guys. I think if we do this, we all are going to have to invest in it. Like, we're going to have something for the daughters and daughters in laws too. And we're saying daughters in law, but we did have a lot of comments about people saying their mother was the issue, not their mother in law.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
but I do think that it is something we need to dig further into, helping both of these groups come together. That's our real goal. We want to reach you guys that you're in the trenches hurting because your mother's in law, but we also want to reach them too and hopefully be the one because we can see both sides. We sit as a mother in law and we have been daughters in laws. So I think that's our ultimate goal here is how are we going to make a difference this season in bringing you guys together, bringing it back together. And maybe that's our theme, bringing it back
Absolutely.
together, you know?
Yes, yeah. We have to both, I feel like in order to do that and to make any sort of progress, we both have to approach it in a way of humility
Mm.
and saying, "What have I done and what can I do?" Rather than going, "See, she did that and she acts like that, and so this is why." Like, that is so common, but it's not helping, and it's hurting so many relationships and so many families.
Yeah, we got an email. We got an email earlier this summer from a listener, and she wanted advice. She was going to send her mother-in-law a letter, and so she sent the letter to us and asking for advice, and it was expressing her hurt and how a family member had hurt her and how they had chosen not to participate in some things because of this hurt. And if I were a mother-in-law reading that, I mean, it wasn't a harsh message, but yet it felt very much like you hurt me. And so I responded back to her, and I think you did as well, Carrie. And I'm not sure what you said, but I gave her some thoughts. But she wrote back and said, actually, a friend looked at the letter and she said what I needed to hear. And I love what this friend said. And this is why you want to go to people who you trust to give you advice, who are in your life. This friend said, hey, listen, before you go there of how she hurt you, maybe you just send her a letter and tell her how much you really do care about her and how much you want to
Mm,
build a relationship with her. And maybe you just start letting her know that you're willing to be vulnerable enough to work on this, whatever it is, because you do love her family.
Mm,
And I was like,
that's
oh, that's
great.
so much better than what I said.
mm,
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
me too.
so good. But it was because, we were probably both in the same a little timid because we didn't know her so well. We didn't want to hurt her feelings. She's asking. But this friend could speak truth to her and say, actually, but what a message. And I haven't heard how that went. And we need to follow up with her. But I love that that's where she started. And that's what we're saying. I think
Mhm,
that this season, hopefully we can talk about how do we do that? How do we work on those things together,
mhm.
bringing it back together?
Yes, because what you just said is maybe the daughter-in-law doesn't wanna have a relationship with the mother-in-law. Like, maybe in her heart of hearts, deep down, she's like, "I really don't, I've got my mom. My mom's amazing. I really don't need my mother-in-law." And then so that means she
Or
calls
maybe
her
that's
only
the
when she needs
assumption.
her.
Maybe she doesn't feel that way, but maybe the mother-in-law, because she doesn't know the daughter-in-law so well, she's making that assumption
Yeah,
based on her own stuff or how her own children behaved. I mean,
right.
assuming the worst out of another person is easy for some of us. I tend to do that sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
And so I think that we have to be willing to admit, well, I could see where I would send that message, even if she didn't mean it. Well, if she meant it, that's a whole nother story. If she really doesn't
Mhm,
want to have a relationship. But I think most of the time, that's not the case. I think most of the time, these girls love the idea of their spouse's mom loving them. I think
mhm,
you just as you fantasize about a spouse and married life and children, I do think you do think,
mm,
how's my mother-in-law going to be? How's that relationship going to
mhm.
be? You know?
Mhm. And
I
we
don't
did
know.
get some comments from people. They were few and far between, I would say, but that just said, "My mother-in-law is just like this,"
Yeah.
or "My mom is just like this,"
Hmm.
and, so that those were really sweet to hear, that my mother-in-law does these things for me.
Yeah. It's
Alicia,
it's
got any
a hard
comments?
one.
I think I think that the biggest takeaway from this is, you have to have both sides that want to work on it, right? I mean, if you have hurt, and most of the time it takes two people to do that, right? No one person is completely just innocent. Because it kind of goes back and forth. And I think both people have to want to restore that relationship first. But it doesn't mean that one person can't start working on forgiveness and restoring, how they feel about that person, and even letting that person know, "Hey, you know what? I do care about you," you know?
Mhm,
Well, and I think we talked about this last season, but forgiveness and reconciliation are different than restoration. And sometimes it's going to take a minute to get to that restoration. But just like you said, Alicia, the forgiveness really is on you anyway. I mean, it's for you. And then that reconciliation, I think that's kind of that baby step forward of recognizing that you have forgiven them and being willing to kind of even do some soul searching of what then restoration looks like, you know? I do love that this generation that's raising kids now speaks their mind. I love that because I say it all the time. If you're a fan of Love on the Spectrum, either of you watch that show, Love on the
Yes.
Spectrum?
Yes.
Love
Okay.
it. Yes.
I'm
So
Yeah.
cute.
such a fan. But here's why I'm such a fan of that. Because if we lived in a world where you could just speak your truth without any ill will, these kids, young adults, they speak their truth and there's no wondering what they think. And I think we're so murky in our communication that we don't even know how to communicate without what does that really mean? Did you see that
Mm.
text? Do you know how she said that
Yeah.
text?
Yeah.
Mhm. I'm
And
so
I
bad
and
at
I
that.
I think we can learn so much from that show and those special, special people
Mhm.
that are on the spectrum and have that ability to speak their truth.
Mhm.
I think it's pretty impressive. And I think that would help us go a long way in this restoration process if we could do that. Just communication in general. If we could speak truly, not I should say this because I know this isn't going to upset them, or I'm not going to say this because it's going to upset them, or I'm going to put a spin on it. I mean, all the things we
Mhm.
overthink about just how we say something. And if you
Mhm.
could just say it, hey, that hurt my feelings, or hey, I thought you meant that you didn't want us to come for Thanksgiving, or hey, I thought you were mad because we chose to do something else. And so I've been staying away. You could get a lot further in a relationship if you could have that kind of
Absolutely.
honesty.
Yes, and if we knew that the person really wanted a relationship, like if the mother-in-law really wants to work on the relationship with the daughter-in-law and vice versa, then when things like that come up, you know where their heart is. Instead of, oh, she
Yeah.
hates me or she doesn't
Right.
like me or I'm not good enough for her son or like all of those things, things are unspoken but yet sometimes actually
Listen,
spoken.
and sometimes
Good springboard into the season. This reel that we went viral, it just really launched us into our mission, really launched us into our mission and dug our heels in even more of how important this is. And so, in reading the comments, like I said before, were just heartbreaking. And what is going on here in these relationships? You think about any other relationship that we have, if there was this much tension, that we would just kind of say, oh, this is just how it's supposed to be. This is not okay. It's not okay. And so going back to us and why we're here is more of a positive a positive. We want to like, what can we do in this space rather than just sit here and complain about it? Because there's plenty of places you can go and just complain about it, but we don't want to do that here. So if you're somebody who wants to work on this or do better, or I don't know, just try to bridge that gap with your mother-in-law or your daughter-in-law, that's why we're here. So we are going to we're working on the boot camp, and I was just reading the comment from somebody that just said, hey, are you guys, I mean, I think this happened over and over. Alicia, I don't know if you saw it, just do you girls offer a course? I'm going to buy it for someone.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That was another basically the essence of what the masses said, and all over 700,000 of those messages were, and like you said, not everyone, but the one voice that was coming out of that was, I do not have this, but I want this, right? It wasn't just, I have an awful mother-in-law and that's fine. I could just do without her. Hopefully she dies soon, right? It was, right. It wasn't just
Some.
like, how do I get rid of it? Well, some, but most of the comments, like they wanted a
Mhm.
relationship with the mother-in-law. They wanted the support. They wanted to feel heard and valuable and worth their value with
Mhm.
the mother-in-law, right? They wanted to feel like, hey, she respects me as a parent. She respects my decisions for my child. She supports those decisions because I'm the child's mom and I'm the one that's making the decisions. So I think that was really telling too. Not only, number one, are a lot of us mothers-in-law getting it wrong, but there's a desire for us to get it right. And I think that's good. That's like
Right.
that's like the younger girl saying like, I have this door. I'd love for you to walk through it,
Mhm.
right?
Yes, which
Please
leads us
come.
to why we
Please
would
come
do
learn
one
how
for the
to
mother-in-law.
be
Yes.
better.
So teach us, it's not going to be called boot camp, but let's learn what do we do then? Because obviously what we're doing isn't working.
Uh-huh.
So then what, not that we know, but we're just all going to work
Right.
together. Like obviously what we're doing isn't working, mother-in-laws. So to go into this course together and say, okay, what are some things? Ooh, actually, yeah, I did that when they were dating, or I did that at the wedding, which then mean, why she feels this way about me now, but it's not too late. And so I really feel like for the mother-in-laws, especially like just what you said is what do we do if what we're doing isn't working?
Right. And how do we know exactly what it is that we're doing that's not working. And
Mm.
and that I think, you have to have the two sides. I know Kathy always says that I tend to empathize a lot with the mothers-in-law because I do have 3 boys. I don't have any daughters. Are you communicating with your mother-in-law in a way that she can hear what you're saying, that specifically when you do this, the message it sends me is this, and that hurts my feelings, you know?
Isn't it funny? Because I wonder if the common thought out there is that we have it, what? They would be shocked to hear you say that it hurt your feelings,
Mhm.
that it's not about your feelings, it's about my feelings. But I think it is about everyone's feelings. I think everyone deserves to be loved and heard and treated with respect and have those open conversations. But I think it is okay to acknowledge that, oh my gosh, wait, I, the daughter in law, could have hurt your feelings. I don't know that that's thought about. And again, I hope that we can be the common ground to help both sides learn something. We're not here just to join the Bash the Mother in Law Club. We're here to say, hey, let's be willing to recognize that you too could hurt someone's feelings, daughter in law. You too
Mhm.
could do that. So I'm glad you said that. Sorry to interrupt you. I
Mhm.
just wanted
No,
to
that's a
jump on
good.
that because
Yeah.
I love that you use that example of that your feelings are actually
Mhm.
hurt.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, with the idea of mending families, like, we really wanna just help mend our own to start with, and
Yeah.
then helping men because, if some of the Instagram's pages you can go and they're just bash, 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 well, what does that how does that help you when you have to go see your mother-in-law or daughter-in-law? How does that help? Like, how are we're already so we're trying to approach it in more of a positive way, in a healing and helpful way. Oh.
Well, let me also jump on that Carrie, too, because my concern, if we don't get in there and help, what's going to happen next generation? There's going to be some repercussions from these broken relationships. I know we got a lot of daughter-in-laws on the comments saying, "Hey, I'm going to be that kind of mother-in-law." Yeah,
Mm,
but if all these young kids being raised without grandparents around, they might not value a mother-in-law at all. I
That's
mean,
true.
I think we
yeah.
have to be real careful about dismissing a whole generation. It's going to
Mhm.
impact our kids not to have that generation around. There is something beautiful about mixing the generations and them coming together as a family unit.
Mhm.
And I think we need to remember that will not only matter for us not to have those people in our lives when we say we're having no contact, but that does and will impact those children who then will get married and have to figure out what it looks like to have in laws because they're going to have zero example of all of that. So,
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys can think about any positive examples of mother-in-laws that you've had, friends, family, whatever. There's not many. And so to be equipped to know how to do better, it feels like we're kind of going against the grain of this reputation that we have as mother-in-laws and the daughter-in-law. And so the importance of what do we do then if we don't want that to happen? What
mm,
do we do? How do we do this? And so that's why one of the reasons why we are here. And so we look forward to this next year. You guys stick with us. We are working on behind the scenes. It's not a boot camp. We're going to call it something else,
I
but
mean,
a course where we can
I
just
got some
learn.
camo I could wear if we did
that
go
would,
to
oh
boot
my gosh,
camp.
that would be so fun.
Push ups,
Camo and
I could
blanket.
do it. I could do
Yeah.
it. I could do it.
We may just
So,
have to do that and dress up in that.
that's right.
So
We'll see it.
we'll be working on that. We'll put something out there and you guys just contact us. Keep communicating with us. We're getting them. We're getting your messages. And it's really helping us fuel the fire of why we're doing it. Because you guys, our lives are busy. It's crazy. We're just kind of sliding into this, but we're on mission and we're here to help.
We're going to have Lauren, a therapist, on next week. I'm super excited about her joining us once a month because we're going to get her professional take and find out really even more of what she's talking to out there in the real world with our women.
Yes. And I am looking forward to some real practical solutions of like, what can we do to put the rubber on the ground to not only mend those relationships, but maybe watch what we're doing ahead of time to catch it before it spirals down and it's just too late where nobody wants to do anything. They're just writing everything off.
Yep,
The red
exactly.
And
flags.
I want to learn what rubber on the ground means.
Me
You've
too.
never
I
heard
think
that?
she meant
When the
boots,
rubber,
but
no, when the
Rubber
rubber,
hit
when the rubber,
Oh, yeah. I have heard
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I'm just mixing and matching
All right.
here.
We're gonna go be
The
boots on the
rubber
ground
boots are going to
or the
hit
boots
the
on the
rubber hits
ground.
the
ground.
road.
They're
We're
going
going
to
to have a
hit the
boot
puddle.
camp.
Yes. All right. We'll see you guys back here next week. Bye,
Yes,
y'all.
yes.